Hey, what's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Much appreciated. New Porpoise pod coming out this week. Hope you guys will check that out. Me and my guy Alejandro Solana talking a lot of things. A busy weekend in Finsland, to be honest with you. A lot of things going on. A lot of fodder, a lot of teasing. We talked about the Jordan Poyer thing in the last video if you guys missed out on that. But I'm sure everybody got the goosies this week watching Tua celebrate his birthday with the boss, Rick Ross. Which it just looked like a tremendous time. I don't know. That's like the only was Rick Ross the only guy who was allowed to have a cell phone there? Because I feel like that was the only leakage, at least that I saw, that was going around from Tua's birthday party. We know that Jordan Poyer said that he was going down there to go celebrate. And I do understand. Rick Ross is a monster celebrity. I don't feel like you're going to be taking his phone. Like, you're not going to go in there and be like, excuse me, Mr. Rose, could we take your cell phone, please? And he's going to be like, no. And so him being able to get Tua dancing, having a good time. I've never had that stuff that he sells. What the I don't know what that is. I'm not, I guess, cool enough. I stick to my my basics when it comes to the drinky poos and all that type of stuff. But Rick Ross did gift. I guess it was a fur coat that he gifted Tua that he was trying to have him a good time. Look. He welcomed him right away. This Rick Ross is a Tua OG. Even if he couldn't pronounce his name from the get-go, it was good to see Tua, who's turning 25 this week, have a good time, have some people there celebrating with him, having a good time, and getting two things. One guy who apparently isn't having a great time right now, and this was probably the most interesting story from the weekend for the Miami Dolphins, was Byron Jones. Big mystery surrounding Byron Jones a lot this year, as he missed the year with what was thought of as recovering from surgery on his leg. And Byron Jones had some tweets that he put it out on Twitter, and he put it on Instagram. And it seemed like the Dolphins cornerback was hinting at retirement, although there's been some murkiness on that. But this sounds very much like he is done playing football. Byron Jones tweeted out, "Much has changed in 8 years. Today, I can't run or jump because of my injury sustained playing this game. Do not take the pills that they give you, and do not take the injections they give you. If you absolutely must, consult an outside doctor to learn the long-term implications." He then followed that up with, "It was an honor and privilege to play in the NFL, but it came at a regrettable cost that I did not foresee. In my opinion, no amount of professional success or financial gain is worth the avoidable chronic pain and disabilities. Godspeed to the draft class of 2023. And it happened to, he first commented on it with his combine video from 2015. So, yeah, first of all, some pretty scary stuff that Byron Jones is putting out there, that he can't run, can't jump, that he's in chronic pain, which is a thing that a lot of, professional football players deal with, and you don't know what kind of stuff they are shooting themselves up with. I mean, we could just look at the Super Bowl and look how Patrick Mahomes went from barely being able to walk to, being able to scramble and look like a superhero all of a sudden. They can throw some pretty gnarly stuff in you to get you out on the football field and do the things you got to do. So seeing him tweet something like this, first of all, I think it does open up some things from this season where you're like, well, where the hell was Byron Jones? Why wasn't he out there? And it makes a lot more sense now that, it doesn't feel like he was ever able to get his body right. Mind you, was also coming off an off-season surgery and just was never able to get himself in a position. And it was like this thing that was lingering over the entire year. Mike McDaniel would, comment every time somebody had a question about it, because he didn't really have any updates, nothing new to offer these guys as far as information was concerned with the future of Byron Jones. So it very much seemed like in this post, when you say, something to the effect of it was an honor and it was a privilege, it seems, when you're using it in past tense, it seems very much like he is retiring. But according to multiple reports, this was not a retirement announcement. It does not. It is not apparently. Now maybe that will be the case, but apparently this wasn't. This wasn't a retirement announcement from Byron Jones, although it seemed very much like one. It seemed like he was basically saying that he can't run. If you're saying you can't run, you can't jump, and you're using the career in the past tense, that feels very much like, he is going to step away from the game. It doesn't feel like a guy who sounds like he wants to play very much, or that he's ready to play, or that he's even that interested in playing. The interesting thing is going to be with the Dolphins and what they do with his what they were going to do with his contract anyway, because there's a June date that will effectively depend on how much dead cap they would have if they were to do it before free agency. It doesn't relieve that much. If they were to do it after June 1st, then it's almost $14 million savings in dead cap. It says on the Miami Herald, Jones' offseason surgery kicked into an injury guarantee of his $14.4 million base salary in 2022. He later restructured the deal and converted the $13 million into a signing bonus that freed $10 million for the Dolphins. He has an $18.3 million cap hit for 2023, but none of his $13.5 base salary is guaranteed. Miami also added void years, which did not extend to the current contract. They are placeholders for a prorated bonus. A pre-June cut would give Miami cap savings of $3.5 million and dead money with dead money charge of $14.8 million. Finding a willing trade partner may be a tough ask, given Jones' injury his status. A post-June cut or trade would give the Dolphins cap savings of 13.6 with a dead charge of only 4.7, but the team wouldn't be able to use that cap space until way past the first waves of free agency. So, it is one of those things where the Dolphins have to look at this and say, like, how much, do we want to take on from this? Do they, think they could still get anything out of Byron Jones this year? Because, there's definitely a need there in the secondary. There definitely is adding somebody next to Xavier Howard with a little bit more experience than Kader Kahu of what they could get. So it is an interesting thing that they're going to have to look at. I would venture to guess he's not going to be here. First of all, it doesn't seem like he is in any position to play football. Second of all, after everything that they went through last year, rolling on the dice of that, it seems like a big ask for the Miami Dolphins to go out there and say, well, now is going to be the year where we're going to expect Byron Jones. They thought they were going to have him back last year, and that was before he seems to be going through a lot physically and having to deal with all this. So to feel like he's going to come in there and be able to provide anything, I would be pretty surprised by that. Does this end up being a retirement? I don't know. Barry Jackson did tweet out, he said, in wake of today's tweets, Byron Jones is not retiring and there's no pending lawsuit. And there's been nothing settled on his salary as of yet. So, because a lot of people were wondering, was there a misdiagnosis from the Dolphins? Are they going to be in trouble here? Listen, the Dolphins have already had enough with the concussion stuff that they had to deal with Tua. If they also had to deal with some Byron Jones issues, obviously would not be ideal for them and anything they have to deal with there. But no, man, I look, if a guy is in that much pain and is putting that out there, especially for the, I think that the heart of his message, which was interesting, is that even more so than his Dolphins future. But think about this: is he's basically telling you that no amount of professional success or financial gain is worth the chronic pain. He's telling you it's not worth playing football. So, and is doing this on the combine just ahead, the draft just ahead, and letting people know this isn't worth it. And, listen, having friends who are professional football players and knowing the pain and stuff that they have to go through, things that still kick up to this day after years and decades of playing, it is a lot. It is a lot. And I do think that we're one of the things that, Leroy tells me all the time in this type of stuff is like the big difference is, now all of this stuff is exposed. It is all there for you to know. This wasn't known back in the day. This wasn't known about what they were putting in you, what they were trying to do, what all this stuff was kind of just swept under the rug. So, it's interesting. We've definitely seen stories of players who are retiring early, who don't want to deal with the pain, and Andrew Luck would be an example. Luke Kuechly with his chronic concussions and things like that. Guys who are retiring seemingly in the prime of their career and don't want to deal with it anymore. And Byron Jones, just years after the Dolphins made him the highest paid cornerback in the league, a move, by the way, which angered their star cornerback that they had already in Xavier Howard. It was thought to be this great tandem, and they ended up making both of them the essentially the highest paid cornerbacks in the league, or definitely got to be the highest paid duo in the league as far as that's concerned. But at just 30 years old, Byron Jones is at this point. Yeah, that's tremendously sad that he's at that he dealt with all of this year, this uncertainty this year, and is going into what seemingly is the end of his career in the next chapter of his life, because he can't run, can't jump, and is still dealing with a lot of pain. It's just a huge bummer to read stuff like that on the back end of what was, I'm sure, a frustrating year on both ends, between the Dolphins not being able to get him back on the field because he's really good, but mostly and more importantly, frustrating for him because his life seems like it's been altered in a big way, and he doesn't feel like the same person because of what the game's done to him. And by the way, this is a position that's like, this is not a position that's usually dealing with a ton of contact either. And he's still telling you there's ramifications of that, which is also something we've seen with no matter what the position is, it could really mess with you. So hope for the best for Byron Jones in his future, man. That was a huge bummer to read this weekend, and definitely adds even another wrinkle into this very confusing and weird saga over the last 12 plus months since the last time he played for the Dolphins.